Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the starship New Horizon and watched the alien world grow larger on the main screen. The planet looked like a giant crystal ball floating in space. Blue and green lights danced across its surface like nothing he had ever seen before. "Captain, we're getting another message from the planet," said Lieutenant Pete Davis from his station. Jake nodded. "Put it through." The screen changed to show a tall, beautiful woman with skin that looked like it was made of crystal. Her name was Princess Zara Lynn, and she was from a race called the Zephyrians. Jake had been talking to her for 3 days now, but he still found it hard to believe this was really happening. "Captain Morrison," the princess said in perfect English, "are you ready to visit our world?" "We are, Your Highness," Jake replied. "My team is prepared for the meeting." Dr. Amy Richardson stepped forward. She was Earth's best expert on alien life forms. "Princess, we want to help your people. Can you tell us more about this sickness that is hurting them?" The princess's face grew sad. The lights under her crystal skin dimmed a little. "Dr. Richardson, it is hard to explain. Our people are dying, and our healers cannot stop it. We have waited so long for someone like you to come." Commander Ryan Blake, the head of security, moved closer to Jake. "Captain, are you sure about this? We don't know much about these aliens yet." Jake understood Ryan's worry. They were the first humans to make contact with aliens, and Earth had sent them to be very careful. But something about Princess Zara Lynn made him trust her. Maybe it was the way she looked so sad when she talked about her dying people. "We'll be careful, Ryan," Jake said quietly. "But if we can help them, we have to try." The princess smiled, and her crystal skin grew brighter. "Thank you, Captain." "Please bring your ship to the landing area near our main city. We will be waiting for you." An hour later, Jake, Amy, and Ryan stepped off their shuttle onto the alien world. The ground under their feet was made of the same crystal material as the princess's skin. Everything around them sparkled and glowed with soft light. "This is amazing," Amy whispered, looking at the tall crystal buildings that rose up like mountains around them. A group of Zephyrians came to meet them. They all looked like Princess Zara Lynn, but none of them glowed as brightly as she did. Jake noticed that some of them looked very sick. Their crystal skin was dull and gray, and they moved slowly. Princess Zara Lynn walked toward them. She wore a long, flowing dress that seemed to be made of liquid light. "Welcome to Veltar, Captain Morrison. Welcome to our dying world." As she got closer, something strange happened. The lights under her skin began to flicker and dance faster. Jake felt a warm feeling spread through his chest, like he was standing in sunshine after being cold for a long time. "Princess, are you all right?" Amy asked, pulling out a small device to scan the alien woman. I feel different," the princess said, looking at Jake with wide eyes. "This has never happened before." Amy looked at her scanner and gasped. "Captain, you need to see this. The princess's bioenergy is spiking. It's like her body is reacting to something." Ryan stepped closer to Jake. "Sir, maybe we should move back." But Jake couldn't move. He felt drawn to the princess, like there was an invisible string pulling him toward her. The warm feeling in his chest grew stronger. "What's happening to me?" Princess Zara Lynn asked, but she didn't sound scared. She sounded amazed. An old Zephyrian man walked up to them. His crystal skin was almost completely gray, and Jake could see he was very sick. "Princess," the old man said in a shaky voice, "the ancient writings spoke of this. They said the star children would make our hearts sing again. What does that mean?" Jake asked. The princess looked at him with tears in her crystal eyes. "Captain Morrison, I think you and your people might be the answer to our prayers. But first I must show you something that will change everything you think you know about the universe." She turned and began walking toward the largest crystal building in the city. "Please follow me. There are things you must see. Things that will explain why your people and mine were meant to find each other." As they walked through the crystal streets, Jake saw more sick Zephyrians. Some were lying on beds made of soft glowing crystal. Others sat in groups holding hands and singing sad songs. All of them looked at the humans with hope in their eyes. "How many of your people are sick?" Amy asked. "Almost all of us," the princess replied. "We number less than 1,000,000 now. 1,000 years ago there were billions of us across many worlds. But the sickness came and we cannot stop it." They reached the base of the great crystal tower. It was so tall that Jake couldn't see the top when he looked up. The princess placed her hand on a glowing panel and a door opened. "Inside this building are the records of our people," she said, "and the records of those who came before us. They left us a message, Captain Morrison, a message about you." "About me?" Jake asked, confused. About humans, the princess corrected. They knew you would come. They knew you were the only ones who could save us. As they entered the building, Jake felt the warm feeling in his chest grow even stronger. The crystal walls around them began to glow brighter, as if they were responding to his presence. Princess, Amy said, looking at her scanner again. Whatever is happening between you and Captain Morrison, it's affecting the entire building. The energy levels are off the charts. Princess Zara Lynn stopped walking and turned to look at Jake. Captain, I need to ask you something very important. Are you willing to risk everything to save a race of people you just met? Jake thought about Earth, about his family back home, about all the humans counting on him to make the right choice. Then he looked at the dying Zephyrians around him and felt that warm feeling in his chest again. Yes, he said without hesitation. We'll help you however we can. The princess smiled, and for a moment her crystal skin blazed with light so bright that everyone had to look away. Then come, she said. Let me show you the secret that has been waiting 1,000 years for you to arrive. Princess Zara Lynn led them deeper into the crystal tower. The walls around them pulsed with soft light that seemed to follow their footsteps. Jake noticed that the light grew brighter whenever he walked closer to the walls. Princess, this building is reacting to us, Amy said, holding up her scanner. The energy readings are incredible. It has been waiting, the princess replied quietly, for a very long time. They reached a large room filled with floating crystal panels. Each panel showed strange symbols that glowed and moved like living things. In the center of the room stood a tall crystal statue of a being that looked neither human nor Zephyrian. Who is that? Ryan asked, pointing at the statue. One of the first builders, Princess Zara Lynn answered. They created us long ago before they disappeared from the universe. Jake walked closer to the statue. As he did, the crystal panels around the room began to glow brighter. The symbols on them started moving faster, like they were excited about something. What do the symbols say? Jake asked. The princess touched one of the panels, and suddenly the air above it filled with moving pictures made of light. Jake could see images of space, of different worlds, and of creatures he had never seen before. This is the history of our people, she said. And yours. Amy stepped forward, amazed by what she was seeing. You mean humans are in your historical records? Not just in them, the princess said sadly. You are the reason for them. The pictures in the air changed to show a world covered in crystal cities like the one they were in now. But these cities were huge, with millions of Zephyrians living in them. Then the pictures changed again, showing the same cities but empty and dark. This is what happened to us, Princess Zara Lynn explained. Our people began to get sick about 1,000 years ago. Our healers tried everything, but nothing worked. That's when our priests looked at the old writings left by the first builders. She touched another panel and new pictures appeared. These showed symbols and words that Jake couldn't read, but somehow they felt familiar to him. The writings told us about a prophecy, the princess continued. It said that when our crystal hearts began to dim, warriors from the third star would come to save us. Warriors who would fight not with weapons but with their bare flesh. Bare flesh? Ryan asked, looking confused. The prophecy was very specific, the princess said. It said these warriors would need to remove all artificial things from their bodies to help us. No metal, no cloth, nothing that was not born with them. Jake felt his face grow warm. You mean? The prophecy said the warriors would have to be completely natural, completely themselves to fix what was broken in us. Amy was studying her scanner again. Princess, I'm detecting something unusual about human bioenergy. It's different from yours in a very specific way. What do you mean? Jake asked. Amy showed him the screen. Look at this. Zephyrian bioenergy moves in smooth, steady waves, but human bioenergy spikes and jumps around. It's like lightning compared to a gentle river. Princess Zara Lynn nodded. The first builders designed us to be calm and steady. We were meant to preserve and protect, but they designed another race to be wild and creative. That race was meant to explore and discover. Humans, Jake said, beginning to understand. Yes. The prophecy says that our two peoples are two halves of one whole. We cannot survive without each other. The princess touched a different panel, and the pictures changed to show the inside of crystal structures. Jake could see that they were filled with flowing energy, like blood moving through veins. Our life force comes from the great crystals under our cities, she explained. But the crystals are dying because they need the other half of the energy. They need human energy to stay alive. So that's why you're all getting sick, Amy said. Your crystals are failing. Yes. And when the last crystal dies, so will the last of my people. Suddenly, footsteps echoed through the room. A tall Zephyrian man entered, followed by several guards. His crystal skin was darker than the princess's, and his eyes were cold and angry. Princess Zara Lynn, the man said in a deep voice. You should not be sharing our secrets with these aliens. General Thysica, the princess replied, her voice becoming formal. These humans are our guests. The prophecy says they are here to help us. The general looked at Jake with dislike. The prophecy is just old stories, princess. These creatures are probably here to take advantage of our weakness. Jake stepped forward. General, we're not here to hurt anyone. We want to help. Help? General Thysica laughed, but it was not a happy sound. How do we know you are not planning to invade our world when we are too weak to fight back? Ryan moved closer to Jake, ready to protect him if needed. But Jake held up his hand. Because if we wanted to invade, we would have brought weapons and soldiers, Jake said calmly. Instead, we brought doctors and scientists. Amy stepped forward with her scanner. General, may I show you something? Our energy readings show that humans and Zephyrians are naturally compatible. Captain Morrison's presence alone has increased the energy output of this building by 30%. The general looked at the scanner with suspicion. This could be a trick. But Princess Zara Lynn walked over to Jake and stood close to him. Immediately, all the crystal panels in the room blazed with light. The symbols on them moved so fast they looked like flowing water. This is not a trick, General, she said. This is proof that the prophecy is real. General Thysica looked around the room in amazement. Even he could not deny what was happening. But then his face grew hard again. Even if the prophecy is real, he said, how do we know these humans will not betray us once they learn all our secrets? Jake thought about this question. He understood why the general was worried. If he were in the same situation, he might be worried too. General, Jake said finally, I can't promise that no human will ever betray you. But I can promise that I won't. And I can promise that most humans are good people who want to help others. Pretty words, the general said. But words are easy to say. Princess Zara Lynn looked at Jake with serious eyes. Captain Morrison, if you truly want to help us, you will have to prove your trust in a way that leaves no doubt. What do you mean? The princess touched one more panel, and the air filled with an image of a large crystal chamber deep underground. In the center of the chamber was a crystal so big and bright that it hurt to look at. This is the master crystal, she said. It is the heart of all crystal life on our world. If it dies, everything dies. If it can be healed, everything lives. Where is it? Amy asked. Deep below the surface in a place called the Hidden Chamber. But the chamber can only be entered by those who follow the prophecy exactly. Jake stared at the image of the giant crystal. What does the prophecy say we have to do? Princess Zara Lynn looked at General Thysica, then back at Jake. It says that the warriors from the third star must enter the chamber as they were born. No artificial things can pass through the barrier that protects the master crystal. The room fell silent. Jake understood what she was saying, but he needed to hear it clearly. You mean we have to go in naked, he said. Yes, the princess replied, and not just naked. The chamber requires complete trust. If anyone enters with doubt or lies in their heart, the chamber will seal forever and both our peoples will die. General Thysica smiled coldly. You see, princess? These aliens will never agree to such a thing. They do not trust us enough. Jake looked at Amy and Ryan. He could see the worry in their faces. This was more than they had expected when they left Earth. But as he stood there, feeling the warm energy flowing between him and Princess Zara Lynn, Jake knew what he had to do. When do we start? He asked. The princess smiled, and her crystal skin glowed so brightly that it lit up the entire room. 3 hours later, Jake, Amy, and Princess Zara Lynn stood at the entrance to a deep cave that led down into the planet's core. The walls of the cave were made of the same crystal material as everything else on the planet, but these crystals looked old and tired. Their light was dim and flickering. The hidden chamber is at the bottom of this cave system, Princess Zara Lynn explained. It will take us several hours to reach it. Ryan stood next to them, but he looked unhappy. Captain, I don't like the idea of you going down there without protection. The prophecy is clear, the princess said gently. Only those who are completely natural can enter the chamber. Your metal implants and weapons will trigger the defense systems. Ryan touched the small metal plate behind his ear that helped him communicate with the ship. All of Earth's security officers had implants like this. What kind of defense systems? Deadly ones, Princess Zarlin replied. The first builders did not want anyone to reach the Master Crystal unless they truly belonged there. Amy checked her equipment one more time. She had only brought basic scanning tools made of materials that the princess said would be safe. What happens if we can't activate the Master Crystal? Then my people die, the princess said simply. And according to the prophecy, your people will eventually face the same fate. Jake looked down into the dark cave. The warm feeling in his chest had been growing stronger all day. Now it felt like a fire burning inside him. Princess, you said there's a guardian in the chamber. What kind of guardian? The last of the first builder's servants. It has been waiting in the chamber for 1,000 years, keeping the Master Crystal alive until the right people came. They began walking down into the cave. The crystal walls around them grew darker the deeper they went. After an hour of walking, they couldn't see the entrance above them anymore. Princess, Amy said, can you tell us more about what we'll need to do in the chamber? Princess Zarlin was quiet for a moment. The guardian will test you. It will look into your hearts and minds to see if you are truly the ones from the prophecy. What kind of test? Jake asked. I don't know. No one who has entered the chamber has ever come back to tell us. This made Jake stop walking. What do you mean no one has come back? The princess turned to face him. Her crystal skin was glowing brighter than ever, and Jake could see tears in her eyes. Captain, many of my people have tried to enter the chamber over the years. All of them died. Died how? The guardian killed them. It said they were not the right ones. Amy grabbed Jake's arm. Captain, maybe we should think about this more. If it's that dangerous? But Jake felt the warm fire in his chest burning even stronger. Something deep inside him knew that this was what he was meant to do. No, Amy, we have to try. If we don't, an entire race dies. They continued walking deeper into the cave. After another hour, they reached a place where the tunnel opened into a huge underground chamber. In the center of the chamber was a doorway made of pure light. The light was so bright it made Jake's eyes water. That is the entrance to the hidden chamber, Princess Zarlin said. Beyond that door is the Master Crystal. As they got closer to the light doorway, Jake heard a voice speaking inside his head. It was not a human voice or a Zephyrian voice. It was something else entirely. Who seeks to enter the sacred chamber? The voice asked. Jake looked around but saw no one. Where is that voice coming from? The guardian, the princess whispered. It's awakening. The light doorway began to change shape, and suddenly a figure stepped out of it. The figure looked like the statue they had seen earlier, tall and thin with skin that seemed to be made of starlight. Its eyes were deep and ancient, like they had seen the birth and death of many worlds. I am the keeper of the sacred trust, the figure said, and now Jake could hear its voice with his ears as well as in his mind. I have waited 1,000 years for the children of the third star to come. That's us, Jake said, stepping forward. We're from Earth, the third planet from our sun. The keeper looked at him for a long moment. You carry the spark that was designed to match the Zephyrian flame. But carrying it is not enough. You must be willing to give everything to save both your peoples. What do you mean by everything? Amy asked. The keeper turned its ancient eyes to her. Your privacy, your dignity, your trust, and perhaps your lives. Princess Zarlin stepped closer to Jake. Guardian, these humans have already shown great courage by coming here. They want to help us. Wanting to help is not enough, the keeper replied. They must prove that they trust completely. The chamber beyond this door will only open for those who have no secrets, no shame, and no doubt. The keeper raised its hand, and the light doorway began to change. Jake could see that it was now covered by a shimmering barrier that looked like water made of stars. This barrier reads every part of your being, the keeper explained. It sees through your clothes, through your skin, and into your soul. If you carry anything artificial, anything false, or any intention to deceive, the barrier will destroy you instantly. Jake swallowed hard. And if we pass through the barrier? Then you will face the final test in the chamber itself. You will touch the Master Crystal while joined with a Zephyrian. If your energies truly match, both races will be saved. If they do not match, we die, Amy finished. Yes, and the chamber seals forever. Jake looked at Princess Zarlin. She was looking back at him with hope and fear in her crystal eyes. Princess, are you willing to risk your life for this? My life is already lost if we do nothing, she replied. At least this way there is hope. Jake thought about Earth, about his family, about all the humans who were counting on him. Then he thought about the dying Zephyrians he had seen in the Crystal City. The warm fire in his chest burned brighter. "We'll do it," he said. The keeper nodded slowly. "Then you must prepare. Remove all artificial things from your bodies. The barrier will detect even the smallest piece of metal or synthetic material." Jake began taking off his uniform. Amy hesitated for a moment, then started removing her equipment and clothes as well. Princess Zaralyn removed her dress of light, revealing that her crystal skin covered her entire body. When they were ready, the keeper spoke again. "Remember, the barrier sees into your hearts as well as your bodies. If any of you doubt, if any of you plan to betray the others, all will die." Jake stood naked at the edge of the barrier, feeling more vulnerable than he had ever felt in his life. But the warm fire in his chest told him this was right. "Are you ready?" Princess Zaralyn asked, taking his hand. Her crystal skin was warm against his. "Yes," Jake said. "Amy?" Amy nodded, though Jake could see she was scared. "Let's save 2 worlds." Together, the 3 of them stepped toward the barrier of starlight. As they got closer, Jake could feel the barrier scanning him, looking through every part of his body and mind. It was like standing in front of a judge who could see every thought he had ever had. The barrier began to thin, becoming more like mist than solid light. Jake felt Princess Zaralyn's hand squeeze his tighter. "Trust," she whispered. "Complete trust." They stepped through the barrier together. For a moment, Jake felt like he was being torn apart and put back together again. Every nerve in his body screamed. Then suddenly they were through. They stood in the hidden chamber at last. And in the center of the chamber, pulsing with the heartbeat of an entire world, was the Master Crystal. It was the most beautiful and terrifying thing Jake had ever seen. And it was dying. The crystal was as tall as a building and wider than a city block. But its light was fading, flickering like a candle in the wind. Jake could feel its pain like a physical ache in his chest. "It's suffering," Amy whispered, tears running down her face. Princess Zaralyn let go of Jake's hand and walked toward the crystal. "Yes, it has been suffering for 1,000 years, waiting for this moment. What do we do now?" Jake asked. The keeper appeared beside them. "Now comes the true test. You and the princess must place your hands on the crystal at the same time. If your energies match, the crystal will heal and both your peoples will be saved. If they do not match, the crystal will die and so will you." Jake looked at the massive dying crystal. He could feel its pain calling to him. The warm fire in his chest was burning so hot now that it almost hurt. "Princess," he said, "are you ready?" She smiled at him, and for a moment her crystal skin blazed with light. "I have been ready my whole life, Captain Morrison." Together they walked toward the Master Crystal, naked and vulnerable, carrying the hopes of 2 entire worlds in their hearts. Jake and Princess Zaralyn walked slowly toward the Master Crystal. With each step they took, the crystal pulsed brighter as if it could sense their approach. The warm fire in Jake's chest grew so intense that he could barely breathe. "Captain," Amy called from behind them, "the energy readings are incredible. The crystal is responding to both of you." The keeper floated beside them as they walked. "The crystal recognizes the completion that it has waited for. But be warned, many Zephyrians have tried this before. All of them died when they touched the crystal alone." "Why did they die?" Jake asked, not taking his eyes off the massive crystal in front of them. "Because they were only half of what was needed," the keeper replied. "The crystal requires both energies, the wild spark of creation and the steady flame of preservation. Without both, it consumes the one who touches it." Princess Zaralyn stopped walking when they were about 10 feet from the crystal. This close, Jake could see that its surface was covered in strange symbols that moved and changed like living things. "The symbols," the princess whispered. "They're the same ones from the prophecy." Jake looked at the moving symbols and felt something strange happen in his mind. Suddenly he could understand what they meant, even though he had never seen them before. "They're telling a story," he said, amazed. "About 2 races who were meant to be together." The keeper nodded. "The first builders left that story for you to read, Jake Morrison. They knew that someday you would stand here and need to understand the truth." Amy moved closer, her scanner beeping rapidly. "The crystal is definitely reacting to you both. But there's something else. The chamber itself is starting to change." Jake looked around and saw that Amy was right. The walls of the chamber were beginning to glow brighter. The floor beneath their feet was warm, and he could feel a gentle vibration, like the chamber was waking up after a long sleep. "The chamber is trembling," Princess Zaralyn said. wonder in her voice. It knows. Knows what? Jake asked. The keeper's ancient eyes grew brighter. It knows that after 1,000 years of waiting, the children of the third star have finally come home. Suddenly, the air around them filled with moving pictures made of light, just like in the crystal tower above. But these pictures were different. They showed the story that the symbols on the crystal were telling. Jake saw images of a great civilization that spanned many worlds. The beings in the pictures looked like the keeper, tall and thin with skin made of starlight. These were the first builders. They were dying, the keeper explained as the pictures played around them. Their sun was going out and they had no way to save themselves. But they were wise and they knew that life must continue. The pictures changed to show the first builders working with strange machines that could shape life itself. Jake watched as they created the first Zephyrians, making them beautiful and wise, connected to the crystal energies that would keep them alive. The Zephyrians were designed to be guardians, the keeper continued. Patient, careful, and wise. They would preserve knowledge and protect the crystal networks that would spread life across the galaxy. But then the pictures showed the first builders creating another race, humans. Jake saw Earth as it was millions of years ago, and the first builders planting the seeds that would grow into humanity. Humans were designed to be explorers, the keeper said, wild, creative, and brave. They would discover new worlds and bring change wherever they went. Together the two races would be unstoppable. Princess Zaralyn looked at Jake with tears in her crystal eyes. We were always meant to find each other. The pictures faded and the keeper moved closer to them. But the first builders made one mistake. They thought the two races would find each other quickly. They did not expect it to take 1,000 years. So the Zephyrians started dying because they were incomplete without humans, Amy said. Understanding, yes. And eventually humans would face the same fate. The crystal networks that give life to worlds only work when both energies are present. Jake felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders, not just for the dying Zephyrians, but for all of humanity as well. What happens if we can't make this work? Then both races die and the first builder's dream dies with them, the keeper replied. But if you succeed, both races will become more than they ever were alone. Princess Zaralyn took Jake's hand. Her crystal skin was so warm it almost burned, but Jake didn't pull away. Are you ready, Captain Morrison? Jake looked at the master crystal. It was so close now that he could feel its energy pulling at him like a magnet. The symbols on its surface were moving faster as if they were excited. What exactly do we need to do? He asked. Place your hands on the crystal at the same moment, the keeper instructed. Let your energies flow together. But be warned, the process will change you both. You will no longer be exactly the same as you were before. Changed how? Amy asked, worry in her voice. The human will gain some of the Zephyrian connection to the crystal networks. The Zephyrian will gain some of the human spark of creativity. You will become bridges between your peoples. Jake thought about this. Becoming something more than human was scary, but the warm fire in his chest told him it was right. Princess, he said, if this kills us, I want you to know that I'm honored to die trying to save your people. She smiled and her crystal skin blazed with light. And I am honored to die trying to save yours, Jake Morrison. They walked the last few steps to the master crystal. Up close, it was even more amazing. Jake could see deep into its structure, where light swirled like galaxies being born. On the count of 3, Princess Zaralyn said, raising her hand toward the crystal. Jake raised his hand as well. The crystal pulsed brighter with each beat of his heart. 1, the princess said. The chamber around them began to tremble, not with fear but with anticipation. 2, Jake said. The crystal's light grew so bright that it hurt to look at, but Jake couldn't look away. 3, they said together. They placed their hands on the master crystal at exactly the same moment. The world exploded into light and sound and feeling. Jake felt like he was flying through space and time, seeing the birth of stars and the growth of worlds. He felt Princess Zaralyn's mind touch his, and suddenly he could feel everything she felt. Her love for her people, her fear, her hope, and her growing trust in him. At the same time, he felt his own energy flowing into her, sharing his curiosity about the universe, his determination to help others, and his belief that anything was possible if you were brave enough to try. The master crystal began to sing, a sound like 1,000,000 voices raised in joy. Its light grew brighter and brighter until Jake was sure it would blind him. But then suddenly the light began to change. Instead of the dying, flickering glow they had seen before, the crystal now blazed with steady, strong light that filled the entire chamber. "It's working," Amy shouted over the crystal's song. "The energy readings are stabilizing." Jake could feel the crystal's joy flowing through him. It was no longer dying. It was alive and healthy and ready to bring life to the entire planet above. But something else was happening too. Jake could feel his own body changing. The warm fire in his chest was spreading through his entire being, making him feel more alive than he had ever felt before. Princess Zara Lynn was changing too. Her crystal skin was brighter than ever, but now it pulsed with the same rhythm as Jake's heartbeat. "We did it," she whispered, looking at him with wonder. "We actually did it." The keeper appeared beside them, and for the first time since they had met it, the ancient being was smiling. "The first builder's dream is fulfilled," it said. "The two halves have become one whole. Both races will now grow stronger than either could have alone." Jake looked at his hand, still touching the crystal. His skin looked normal, but he could feel energy flowing through him like electricity. He could sense the crystal networks that ran through the entire planet, and he knew that they were healing. "What happens now?" he asked. "Now," the keeper replied, "you return to your peoples and begin the great work of bringing them together. But first, the chamber must seal itself. Its purpose is complete." The chamber began to tremble again, but this time Jake could tell it was getting ready to rest. The crystal's song grew softer, becoming a gentle hum that felt like a lullaby. "Will we see you again?" Princess Zara Lynn asked the keeper. "My time is over," the ancient being replied, "but yours is just beginning. Take what you have learned here and use it to build a future that the first builders would be proud of." The keeper began to fade, becoming transparent like mist. "Thank you," Jake called to it as it disappeared. "Thank you, children of two worlds," the keeper replied, and then it was gone. Jake and Princess Zara Lynn took their hands off the crystal and stepped back. The crystal continued to hum softly, no longer dying but fully alive and healthy. "We should go," Princess Zara Lynn said. "Our peoples are waiting." As they walked toward the barrier of starlight, Jake felt different than he had when they entered. He was still human, but he was also something more. He could feel Princess Zara Lynn's thoughts touching his mind, and he knew she could feel his. They were no longer just a human and a Zephyrian. They were the first of something new, bridges between two worlds that were meant to be one. Jake, Amy, and Princess Zara Lynn emerged from the underground cave into the light of the Crystal City. The moment they stepped onto the surface, Jake knew that everything had changed. The crystal buildings around them were blazing with light, brighter than he had ever seen. The 6 Zephyrians who had been lying on beds were now standing up, their crystal skin glowing with healthy energy. Children ran through the streets laughing and playing for the first time in years. "Look," Amy said, pointing at her scanner. "The energy readings from the entire city have increased by over 500%. Princess Zara Lynn smiled, and Jake could feel her joy flowing through the mental connection they now shared. "The Master Crystal is healing the entire planet. Every crystal network on our world is coming back to life." But something else was happening too. Jake noticed that he could understand the Zephyrian language without needing a translator. When he concentrated, he could sense the thoughts and feelings of Zephyrians around him. "Princess," he said, "I think the crystal changed us more than we expected." She nodded. "I can feel it too. I can sense things about your people that I never could before. Your curiosity, your drive to explore, it's like a fire in my mind." Amy was studying them both with her scanner. "This is incredible. Captain, your brain activity has changed. You're processing information in patterns that are similar to Zephyrian thought. And Princess, your bioenergy is spiking in ways that match human neural activity. We're becoming bridges," Jake realized, just like the keeper said. They walked through the city toward the palace where General Thisica was waiting for them. Jake could feel the excitement of the Zephyrians around them. Word was spreading quickly that the prophecy had been fulfilled. But as they approached the palace, Jake sensed danger. Something was wrong. "Princess," he said quietly, "I think General Thisica is planning something." Princess Zara Lynn's eyes grew worried. "How do you know?" "I can feel it. The connection the crystal gave us, it's not just between you and me. I can sense the intentions of other Zephyrians too." They entered the palace to find General Thisica waiting for them with a group of armed guards. But instead of looking angry, the general looked confused and frightened. "Princess," he said, "what have you done? The crystals are showing us things." Images in our minds. They're telling us that these humans are telling the truth. Princess Zarlin walked toward the general with confidence. The Master Crystal has awakened, General. It is sharing the truth of the prophecy with all our people. But that's impossible, the general protested. The crystals have never spoken to us directly before. Amy held up her scanner. General, the crystal network isn't just healed, it's evolved. The addition of human bioenergy has awakened abilities that were always there but never activated. Jake stepped forward. General Tisica, I know you were planning to remove the princess from power and get rid of us. But think about what you're seeing now. Your people are healthy for the first time in 1,000 years. The crystals are alive and speaking to you. This is proof that the prophecy was real. The general looked around at his guards. Jake could sense their confusion and growing understanding. The crystal network was indeed showing them images and thoughts that proved the truth of what had happened. I was wrong, the general said finally. I thought you were invaders. But the crystals show me that you are saviors. Princess Zaralin placed her hand on the general's shoulder. You were protecting our people the only way you knew how. There is no shame in that. Over the next few days, Jake watched as both planets began to change in amazing ways. The Zephyrians were not just healing, they were developing new abilities. They started creating art and music in ways they never had before. Their usual calm and steady nature was now mixed with human creativity and curiosity. At the same time, the human crew members on the ship New Horizon began experiencing changes too. They reported feeling more connected to each other and to the universe around them. Amy discovered that she could sense the health of living things just by being near them. It's spreading, Amy told Jake as they stood in the palace garden. Every human who spends time near the Zephyrians is developing some of their abilities. And every Zephyrian who interacts with us is becoming more creative and adventurous. The crystal network is adapting, Princess Zaralin added. She was different now too, still wise and calm but with a new spark of excitement about exploring the galaxy. It's learning how to share the combined energies with both our peoples. But the biggest changes were yet to come. 3 weeks after the healing of the Master Crystal, ships from other alien civilizations began arriving at the Zephyrian world. Word had spread across the galaxy that something unprecedented had happened. Jake stood in the new council chamber that had been built to host meetings between humans and Zephyrians. Representatives from 5 different alien races sat around a crystal table, all watching him with expressions ranging from curiosity to suspicion. So you are the humans we have heard about, said Ambassador Krell from the Vorthon Empire. His people were large and aggressive, known for conquering weaker civilizations. We came to see if the stories were true. What stories? Jake asked, though he could sense the ambassador's intentions through his enhanced abilities. Stories that you have somehow made the dying Zephyrians strong again. Stories that you have power over their crystal networks. Princess Zaralin, who now served as the co-leader of the new Interspecies Council, spoke calmly. Ambassador Krell, humans do not have power over us. We have found power together. Another alien, a snake-like being called Ambassador Hiss from the Serpent Worlds, leaned forward. Perhaps these humans would be willing to demonstrate this power. We would like to see how strong they really are. Jake felt a familiar warm feeling in his chest, but now it was mixed with the calm wisdom he had gained from his connection to Princess Zaralin. Ambassador Hiss, he said peacefully, we're not interested in showing off our strength. We're interested in sharing what we've learned. And what have you learned? Ambassador Krell demanded. Jake stood up and walked to the center of the room. As he did, the crystal walls began to glow softly, responding to his presence. We've learned that the universe is full of species that were designed to work together, he said. We've learned that competition and conquest make everyone weaker, but cooperation and trust make everyone stronger. Pretty words, Ambassador Krell said with a sneer. But what happens when someone attacks you? What happens when someone tries to take what you have built? Princess Zaralin stood up and joined Jake in the center of the room. As she did, the crystal walls began to pulse with both their heartbeats. Then we defend ourselves, she said simply, but not just with weapons. We defend ourselves with friendship. When you attack one of us, you attack all of us, Ambassador Hiss laughed coldly. You think friendship will stop our battle fleets? We think friendship will make battle fleets unnecessary, Jake replied. But if you insist on testing us, you should know that we're not alone anymore. At that moment, the crystal walls lit up with communications from across the galaxy. Images appeared showing dozens of other alien species who had heard about the Human-Zephyrian alliance and wanted to learn more. You see, Princess Zaralyn explained, the story of what happened here has spread to every world. Many species are tired of endless wars and conquest. They want what we have found. Ambassador Krell looked around at all the communications and began to understand. You're building an alliance, not just between humans and Zephyrians, but between everyone who wants peace. Yes, Jake said, and it's growing every day. Over the following months, Jake watched as the alliance expanded. The hidden chamber, now sealed but still remembered, became a sacred site. Other species would send representatives to undergo what became known as the Trial of Unity, a test to see if they were ready to join the peaceful alliance. Not every species passed the test. Some, like Ambassador Krell's people, were too focused on conquest and power, but many others did pass, and each new member made the alliance stronger. Amy became the head of the new Interspecies Research Institute, studying how different alien species could benefit from cooperation. She discovered that the first builders had scattered dozens of compatible species across the galaxy, all waiting for the right moment to find each other. Jake and Princess Zaralyn traveled from world to world, serving as examples of what was possible when different species trusted each other completely. They became known as the Awakeners, the pair who had shown the galaxy a new way of living. But the most important change was in how both humans and Zephyrians saw themselves. Humans learned that their greatest strength was not their ability to fight or conquer, but their ability to bring out the best in others. Zephyrians learned that their wisdom was even more valuable when combined with human creativity and courage. 5 years after the healing of the Master Crystal, Jake stood once again in the crystal city of Veltar, but now it was not just a Zephyrian city. It was home to representatives from 30 different species, all working together to explore the galaxy and help other civilizations find peace. Princess Zaralyn, now his partner in both leadership and life, joined him on the balcony overlooking the city. Do you ever regret what we did in the hidden chamber? She